No record taking place. That's not good. Okay, there we go. Now it's up. Hopefully it will record from this point onwards. Okay, so basically, as far as the PBO status is concerned, we're now fully up to date. SIPC has also come back and acknowledged the change to the MII. They've reissued our registration certificate, reflecting the call 15, what's it, 15.2 form. So I've built everything together. We've got the MII, we've got the SIPC goodie, and what I will do is I'm going to put the PBO letter in as well so that it's all within one contained document. That document has been signed by the directors, and I think this should dispel any further assumptions, presumptions, or idiotic statements that are being made and have been made over the past couple of months with regards to CERT as a whole. All right, so that basically gives us the background, or at least I'm just giving you guys the background to where we are at the moment. Let me ask John. John, have you got anything you want to add? Just unmute yourself there, or I'll unmute you. Yeah, it's easier for me if I can. No, I can't. You'll have to do, yeah, there you go. You've
okay. Yeah, no, nothing from my side, Chad. I'd just like to thank you for all the work you've put into this. And I must admit, it's been actually quite an easy process, certainly from my side, to go through all of this. And you certainly have the knowledge to put all of this together. I must admit, I would never have been able to get all of this put together, and I want to thank you for that.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Let's send it over to Stephen. Stephen, is there something you would like to add from your side
there? Sorry, guys, there's nothing much to add from our side.
All right. Now, let me just get this document open if I can find the right page. I've only got about 50 of them. Lawrence and Adrian, if you guys log on to the CERT website, you'll see under your particular block of executive minutes or tech minutes, anything that's sort of been approved or whatever will go into those two folders. I don't know if you guys are actually logged on. Let's look. I see Adrian is on. Under the executive recommendations, tech recommendations, that is where we will publish any of the documentation that ultimately you want the board to see. Now, I'll explain what decision we took and the resolution, and we'll just quickly go through it. But if you have a look under exec other, what I've done under exec other, any other documentation that is relevant to executive management or to the TECC and tactical emergency care, we'll explain in a minute, maybe in a little bit more detail as to what exactly we're looking at, or I'm looking at from tech perspective. All right, so the documents that I've now put up there this morning is basically the 3 board resolutions. The first board resolution is on the rules and scheduling. The second one, well, if I put it in frequency order, they all start with BR 2020 for the year, and then the sequential number will be 8, 18, 7, whatever the case might be. So sequentially, it will increase from that point. So the first one was to establish a tactical emergency casualty care advisory group. Then also to do the or establish the executive management, depending on which group you're with. Then to look at the advisory group rules and the board meeting rules. So what I want to just do quickly is The establishing, I think that's self-explanatory. We don't need to go through anything there. All right, Lawrence dropped off. Let's see if Lawrence comes back up. I don't know where Lawrence is. Let me see if I can't get him on the phone. At least that way we can still go on it. Yeah, I'm just rebooting. Logging in now. Is it? Yeah. My internet is crap. I just want to try something here quickly. Adrian, it's probably easier for you just to unmute there for a minute. Lawrence, okay, Adrian, yeah, you unmuted. Lawrence, just give me a 10 count quickly. Let's just see if Adrian can hear you. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, he gives me a 2 to 3 out of 5. A little bit soft. Okay, I'm going to have to try and work some magic here moving forward.
It is workable. It is workable from the. It is soft, but it is workable.
Okay, Adrian says it's soft, but it is workable. Okay, moving forward, I'll try and work some magic here that we can actually incorporate the cell phones, because the Companies Act does give us the capability of holding electronic meetings as long as no third party has to sort of, interpret or act as a go-between. Then from the executive management and from the TECC advisory group, we don't need to really worry about the Companies Act, because you guys are not as an official committee or as any officials of the company, but purely just to advise. So we can have these meetings in any way we want, which also then means that we can do it via WhatsApp, and we can still have info. However, what I was saying, Lawrence, okay, I'm going to admit you there. I think as soon as you are up and running on Zoom again properly, you can disconnect the cell phone for me. Then I know that you can at least hear and get everything up. Okay, so basically the board resolution says that the board of directors is automatically joined to the advisory group, and there'll be one director present at each of the meetings. Now, John and Stephen voted me in as chairman. So if I'm present, I have to automatically chair the meeting of either the TECC or the exec man. But if I don't attend that meeting and John and Stephen attend the meeting, they'll have a fist fight between each other as to who's going to chair the meeting. So I think the general consensus is that if I'm not present, they'll do it on a rotational basis. Yeah, no, we won't go down that route. I can just imagine a couple of EFF type meetings taking place. That would be interesting among CERT. All right, and then of course we will keep minutes of the meetings, etc., and the meeting minutes must be distributed to all the directors by the advisory group meeting chairman. So whichever of the directors chairs the meeting, they've got the responsibility of distributing the minutes. And any of the minutes that need to be distributed will have to be just delivered at least 48 hours before the next meeting. So it's not 48 hours after the meeting, but the next meeting. Paragraph 6 in this case can be waived if we decide to call a meeting in less than 12 hours. So any emergency meeting, look, because of the fact that CERT should be dealing with emergency related incidents, we need regular meetings, and we've got another board resolution that says we're going to hold a board meeting every 2 months. But if the shit hits the fan, we can't wait 2 months before we take any action or make any decisions. And I feel the same applies for the TECC and for the executive management. If executive management feel that there's something that needs to be dealt with on an urgency basis, we should be able to call a meeting as quickly as possible. Now, the Companies Act also does allow for that type of situation to take place on condition that all the directors actually agree to holding a meeting without any notice. And of course, all the minutes and all the other bits and pieces apply. So naturally, whatever applies to the board will apply to the exec man and as well to the TECC. If you guys have got anything that you want to put in, what I'll do under the other, there's a template. Well, it'll actually be available under the policy directives. There is a motion template document that I've put together that the board has now approved. You guys are more than welcome. Any suggestions, any recommendations, anything you feel that the company or the PBO should in actual fact put through as a board resolution or company resolution that needs to be acted upon, either by the board members or by the volunteers, I encourage you guys to please write up a document. You don't need to be as long-winded as me perhaps, but the more information the better, so that it's self-explanatory. And then of course you can send it through to me, or you can send it to John or Stephen, and then we'll put it on the agenda for our next board meeting. Or if you've sent it through to us, if we decide that it's an urgent situation, then naturally we can call a board meeting, discuss it, resolve it and adopt it or reject it. In terms of the board meetings can be called by either myself as the chairman. Naturally, this will now roll over to the executive management as well as to the TECC advisory groups. At my discretion, I can call a meeting either with a 10 days notice or without it. Naturally, I will try and, be considerate and not call a meeting for an hour's time. Unless, of course, it is of such a nature that we actually do need to get together. And then, I think individually, it'll be the case of, France, are you available? Trevor, are you available? Lawrence, are you available? Right, let's get together at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and let's discuss this, let's sort it out. Or alternatively, the board meetings can be called by any of the two directors. Now, sure, the Companies Act, is looking at more than 3 directors. In this case, John and Stephen can call a board meeting, but John and Stephen can also call an executive management meeting or a TECC meeting. And of course, TECC and exec man can be called by any 2 members of that advisory group as well. Just bear in mind that we need to sort of provide some decent lead time so that we can be prepared. Board meeting rules and schedules I've also put up. That's resolution number 12, so that you guys can just have a look at it and get an idea of what it is that that we were looking at in terms of how we're gonna deal with the meetings overall. Okay, so at that point, I want to ask you, Lawrence and Adrian in particular, If there's any questions, any concerns, anything you'd like to find out about at this stage. Otherwise, John, Stephen, if there's something you want to throw in, just unmute yourself and we can take it from there. Adrian?
Negative, Chad, and nothing to add. Just compliments on the on how my English is falling, on how complete this stuff is. I've worked through them, and my compliments on that, and I agree with what you said.
All right, good stuff. Now, I don't know what I did there. I turned the volume down a little bit. Just talk again, Adrian.
Okay, no, I'm saying, Chad, compliments on setting all this paperwork in place, and I agree with what I've worked through it, and I agree with what's been said.
All right, good stuff. Now, I'll let you guys know as soon as I've uploaded all the other bits and pieces there. Lawrence, anything on your side there? We got 10 minutes left.
No, all is good, yeah.
All right, so no questions, nothing at all. Okay, let's just explain the purpose of executive management and also the TECC. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, the executive management is basically a group of volunteers that need to come together that just keep an overall eye on what is happening. And from that perspective, to engage and interact with John, Stephen, and myself. And guys, you don't need to talk to me directly. You can speak to John. You can discuss it with Stephen. I mean, we've got to be open about everything. You know, John and Stephen are company directors, and they also need to adopt a open door policy and move it forward in that aspect. Any thought processes, anything, any plans, projects, recommendations the executive management needs to come together and put it down on paper. However, on the other side of the coin, if there isn't anything that really needs to be done, then it should be quite simple. We will have a meeting at least 10 days or so before board meeting as executive management. We will go through the previous minutes, go through the agenda like a normal meeting. If there are no discussion points, that's it, meeting over and done with. We can do it in 10 or 15 minutes. So we don't need to be in a situation where we should feel compelled to put something down on paper purely because of the fact that we've got an advisory group. Advise when advice is required. That's my principle. Now, the TECC group, on the other hand, very different ballgame. And this one, I think we're definitely going to have a closer look at, even though we've got Trevor and France, I will have a chat with them. I know France is going to be a bit of a problem in terms of work, and Trevor will be a bit of a problem, especially when he starts traveling to Iraq again. We don't have any other ILS, ALS paramedics on board, and we can't expect Lawrence to carry the can on his own accord. But the TEC group is quite simply this. What I want to do is to be able to provide an unofficial in terms of South African standards and norms, training program specifically for volunteers, and to train these volunteers to save lives without doing a level 3 first aid. Now, worldwide, there is a tactical emergency casualty care committee, or the committee of, who have put down certain guidelines for the immediate saving of lives and protocols to save lives, which was designed specifically for bystanders in terms of bomb blasts, terrorist acts, active shootings, etc. in the States. And the TECC, or CTEC, the committee itself, have adopted similar rules and protocols that the military use in terms of their tactical medical procedures for the soldiers. So this is a course that ultimately follows a similar line to like the course that Rory's on today, the Stop the Bleed campaign. Without being certified per se, or SACWA certified, or DTI certified, like the level 1 to 3 first aid, the ILS, BAA, through Health Professional Council. But this is designed specifically to bring the ordinary man in the street to a situation where they can, in actual fact, learn how to prevent the loss of life, specifically in terms of major trauma. So the TECC have a responsibility, or should have a responsibility, to work through the committee's guidelines, and for us all as the TECC AG to put together a training program and manual, and to write this up over the next couple of months based on those guidelines, that we can, in actual fact, as a TECC AG, certify a couple of people to do TECC training on behalf of MCOM Assist Cert, that we can roll this out specifically amongst the volunteers, our CERT volunteers, that they can, in actual fact, have a personal first aid kit, or PFAC, that will have the necessary dressings whereby they could, in actual fact, look after one patient for 4 to 6 hours without having to do a full-blown level 3 first aid course. So the TECC course should be somewhere in the region of approximately 8 hours. That's what I think. John, if you have a look at those guidelines, Lawrence, John is also ex-EMA from Red Cross with me. And then, of course, Lawrence, once you've had a look at the guidelines, then we can decide whether it'll be a 6-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour course. We got to decide, and then, of course, prepare training material. And then this will be done under disaster situations only. And that will be a written undertaking required by those that do the course, that they will not be able to perform any of those procedures per se outside of a full-blown disaster situation. There may be certain things that they could do at a motor vehicle accident or granny's fallen down the stairs, but outside of that, it's going to be very limited, short of going out and doing the family CPR course, etc., etc. Okay, I see we got 1 minute and 54 seconds. Let's quickly, if you got any questions, raise your hand or unmute your button, and otherwise I'm going to close the meeting. If there are no further questions and we do get kicked off, I'm going to say thanks very much, John, Stephen. Let's just kick back in straight away and do a final board meeting and just pass those other resolutions quickly. Okay, Adrian, anything your side? Okay, Lawrence, anything your side?
Nothing from our side.
All right, guys, I'd like to thank you for joining the meeting this morning. Have a blessed Sunday. And of course, we'll catch you at 5:30 tomorrow. So cheers for now. John, Stephen, it's gonna time out and I'll open it up. Now. Adrian, come back to me on, okay, Adrian's gone.